Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I will have a little chat with you about art supplies that will bleed through your paper. I have a little cold, so my voice can sound a little funny. I'm sorry about it. There's nothing I can change about it. I really wanted to record this video because I feel inspired and yeah, we have to roll with it. So yeah, art supplies. There are plenty of different art supplies that you can use in your coloring books. And yeah, there are acrylic paints, there are paint pens, there are water-based markers, there are some ink pencils, distress inks, there is watercolor paint, and yeah, plenty more. And I want to take you on a little journey and discover what art supplies will bleed through. And you will be surprised, I think, at the end of the video. And some things are totally fine to use, and there are things that you use. I think most of us will use them in coloring books and not are aware of bleeding through the papers. So yeah, let's dive in. I really want to start with, I think, acrylic paints. So let's have a look at my mandala coloring book. It's a perfect one to use for a lot of things I want to show because I've colored tons in it. For this one, for the background, I have used Neocolor 2. It's a water-soluble crayon. Let me pick up maybe even the color that I've used. I think it's this one. You dissolve it with water and you apply it like a watercolor. And you can see I have no problem with it, using it in a coloring book. Until I have to, be aware of the amount of water that I'm using with my products. If I use too much water with the product, it will bleed through because the paper is fully, I don't know the word, it soaks through. But if you are careful with your water, just use a water brush, then I think you will be okay. I never have problems with it. You can see on the next page I've used some acrylic paint pens like Posca, Tuli Art. You can use Artex, you can use cheap ones from the dollar store or the discount store like Action. They are all fine. They don't go through your paper if you are careful with it and don't scrub, and that might even damage your paper, right? But if you take a look at the back of the page, there's a little bit of ghosting, and it might be the thing because it's very thin paper, this edition. It is not the same as the Dutch prints, but it's okay. I can work with it. If I color on this side, I think you won't notice it anymore. So you can safely use Posca paint pens in your coloring book and Neocolor too. So let me move them out of the way. Oh, there's another thing I want to show you. I've used some of my distress inks in this book. As you can see on this page, I have used a lot of it and you cannot see it. It's not bleeding through on the paper. I was really careful with it. If you are not careful with it and you use too much of it, it will bleed through. This is the distress inks that I'm talking about, those little ink pads. I like to apply it with an ink brush. Let me find it. I've colored this page with Distress ink, the background, and it is totally fine. There was nothing happened, and then I decided to sprinkle a little bit of water on top of it to create this nice effect. I really like the effect. And you can see there's a big blob of water here, and it went too wet, so it went through the paper, and it's my own fault, and I'm okay with it. You also can see it here. There was just too much water on this little, spot of the page. But if you are careful and you will dip it quick enough, you can see there is no bleeding through on the other spots on the page. Just those two places where I apply too much water, and it's my own fault. But it is something you want to be aware of. I also used a lot of Distress ink on this page, and I didn't add the extra water. And you can see the page is totally fine. This book is a little thicker paper, nice paper. And I'm happy with the result of it, that you safely can apply it. As long as you will keep in mind, don't use too much water on top. Let me find one with acrylic paint. You can see I have created an acrylic paint background with Amsterdam acrylic paint. I really like this brand. It is, everywhere available in the Netherlands. I even can go to the, we say it, I don't know, but it's everywhere. And I applied it on the page, and you can see on the back of the page there is no paint bleeding through the page. You can use it safely, and most of the questions that I get are, funny enough, about acrylic paints that bleed through your paper. Some paint markers, also acrylic based, and sometimes some water based markers. And I don't like them to use in my coloring book because I'm not a marker girl. I like pencils a lot more. But you can kind of use them safely. So I don't think there is anything else to show in this one. No. But the thing that I have problems with in my coloring book that will bleed through the paper, you can see, it is my well-loved, you can see, Prismacolor. Prismacolors I love to use on almost every page that I'm coloring, but certain colors will bleed through the paper. And you can see I've used it also on this side, and it will bleed through. And not many people are aware of this problem with simply color pencils. I never have questions about, will my Prismacolors bleed through your paper? Because the answer is, some colors, they will bleed through. So that is something to keep in mind. I will show you the colors that will bleed through the paper. I also picked up some gel pens. I don't use them a lot, but I know there are plenty that will bleed through. So maybe I can show you in my swatches. Sorry, I have to take a sip of my tea. I can show you in my swatches some of the pencils that will bleed through and give you an idea. I use very limited. Oh, I'm sorry. Very thin paper. It is just to create swatches, and you can see most of the colors are okay. There's this one that is kind of ghosting. It is the neon pink, but you clearly can see two of the purple colors will bleed through. It is a dark purple and the dahlia purple of the Prismas that will bleed through your paper. So if you don't want to have this happen in your coloring book, skip them, remove them from your collection, even it is very pretty colors to use. I really like those colors in flowers, and yeah, it's a shame that they will bleed through. You can find this problem also with some cheaper pencils, like the Castle Arts or the Arteza. I don't have it with my Polygonus pencils. They are all fine. You can see, no bleeding through with just pencils. I have to take another sip, sorry. The overall color pencils are okay. You can see most of them, you can see them shining through a little bit, ghosting, but not really bleeding through, and it's all because the pigments of the paper and the weight of the paper, sorry. I'm sorry if the laundry machine of my neighbors is disturbing and creates some shakiness. I hope it will. Yeah, I can see it. I'm sorry. So yeah, overall the color pencils are okay. This is the Arteza. There might be some colors, also some pinks, but not too bad compared to the Prismacolor ones. So let me put it back and move on to water base. This binder is filled with my aquarelle pencils, my paint, so let's have a look. Gel pens, and you can see there is more bleeding through, and it's all because I've applied too much water on it. You can see some of the spots are barely bleeding through, and the points I use too much water, they will bleed through. And that is something you have to keep in mind when you are using it in your coloring book, right? I had a question about Inktense. Oh, it's in my different binder. I'm sorry, I'm not really well prepared today. But overall, watercolor pencils are okay. The paint pens, you can see a little bit of ghosting, not too bad. If you use it in your coloring book, you will have some heavier paper, and there won't be a problem, right? This is the Tombow markers. You can see a little bit of bleeding through the paper. Maybe I applied too much layers and didn't let it dry in between the layers. Maybe it's my own fault. I'm not sure. There were some watercolors that were bleeding through. It is shimmery paint. And you can see there are also some colors that don't bleed through. It's from the same set. I store them in my Black Widow tin. Those are very cheap. I got them, I think, €1 a set of 6, maybe. I've got them from the discount store in the Netherlands, Action, and lovely watercolor paints. But as you can see, they will bleed through if you apply too much water. And then gel pens. I have a lot of trouble with the pens bleeding through on this paper. I haven't seen it in my actual coloring books. So also down here, of course, those are the swatches of my alcohol markers, my Copic markers, and they will bleed through. So if you want to use them in your coloring books, make sure you use them on a single-sided page and not a double-sided, otherwise you will destroy the page on the back of the one you are coloring. If you don't mind, go for it, sure, but it's not something that I would like to use in my coloring book. I'm not a marker girl. I am simply don't use them. You can see even the Paul Rubens will bleed through a little bit. And yeah, it's all because I'm using too much water, I think. In my last binder, I have all my Derwent products. And the thing I want to show you is the bleed through of some of the colors. Overall, they don't bleed through your paper. You will be fine. But of course, there is this purpley color that will go through your paper. As you can see, the same as the Prismacolor. It is the violet blue. So it is this one. You will have some pink stains on the back of your paper and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, don't use this color. I think it's all because of some of the pigments that are used in this pencil that are also used in the more budget brand pencils like the Arteza or the Castle Art that have the same problem. Also the Prismacolor. But the rest, you can see, is totally fine. And I don't think in the old set there's any purple bleeding through. So let's check it. Now we are here. You can see those are totally fine. It's only this one, the violet blue, that will bleed through with the purpley shine on the back of your paper. And I think that was everything that I wanted to show you. And yeah, if you want to make sure and you don't like it that art supplies will bleed through your paper, you can always do a little test for yourself on the back of the book. Well, this one don't have any tester page, but or in the front you can use it. Like this one, you can have a little test, have a little play, if you don't mind messing it up. Most of the books got something in the back where you can test and have a little play. There are little, illustrations that you can test your art supplies on, or just on top of the words, if you don't mind. This one even got a little bigger tester sheet. So you always can find it and you can test it in your own books and see if it will bother you or if you are okay with the amount of bleed through that you see on the page. Thank you for watching. I hope this is helping you and let me know if you are surprised by the fact that Prismacolor will bleed through your paper. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you next time. Bye!